goes to North Olmsted, Ohio, number 9, Kenzie Zonner. A sophomore right side, from Tornillo, number 10, Julia Haldor. A senior outside hitter from the Beja, Puerto Rico, number 16, Stephanie Rivera Pacheco. A senior middle hitter from Lancaster, California, number 30, Cassandra Kahara. Coach coached by Bridget Field, and her fifth season was assisted by Destiny Piper. And now the starting for Thomas Allen, a freshman outside hitter from Davie, Florida, number 4, Catherine Jackson. A freshman opposite from Centerville, Ohio, number 5, Elizabeth Schlemmer. A senior center from Pablo, Texas, number 8, Stella Yan. A junior outside hitter from Winona, Puerto Rico, number 15, Laura Rachel. A freshman middle blocker from Leesburg, Virginia, number 16, Isabella Sierra. A junior middle blocker from Lubbock, Illinois, number 18, Jean Dean. And a sophomore in the from Fairfax, Virginia, number 20, Abby Chen. Coach right now blocking her first season, who was assisted by Natalie Pillay.
So I got the starters for Carnegie Mellon now listed: Catherine Jackson, Elizabeth Schlemmer, Stella Yan, Laura Raychard, Isabella Sierra, Jane Dean, and Abby Chen. Starters for Point Park: Star Lakin, Melissa Schroeder, Kenzie Zonner, Julia Follador, Stephanie Rivera Pacheco, Sandra Tejada, and Ashley Castelli. Tone that crowd mic down a lot of yelling coming from both teams in a very spirited sport in volleyball, especially at the NCAA level.
Yeah, volleyball and softball, I've noticed, are two very kind of, like you said, spirited, vocal. Very vocal, yes, very, very encouraging sports, if you will. Everybody seems to be very encouraging of one another, which at times you don't always get that in other sports, but that's, I think, the excitement and the beauty of having a crowd mic, too.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Here at the Wiegand Gym, of course, Skibo Gymnasium, the main facility for Carnegie Mellon Athletics, still under a renovation that is in the progress, but won't be ready for another 2 sports seasons. So won't be back there until 2024. Still here at the Wiegand Gymnasium. Great site, though, right along Forbes Avenue here at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Glad to have you along on a Tuesday evening of volleyball action. Jack, what are you looking forward to seeing here, really, for both teams?
I think really what I'm looking forward to is just seeing the attacking and the offense on the outside. Like we mentioned in the pregame, Stephanie Rivera Pacheco is going to be one name to watch on the outside for Point Park. But I'm also excited to see how the youth of the Tartans fare against a very veteran roster for the Point Park Pioneers. Catherine Jackson, another freshman like Elizabeth Schlemmer, that has come in and really taken over and has done a nice job in her early season and career.
Carnegie Mellon with the opening serve, and we are underway in set 1, and this one's going to bounce right into the net and back towards the Point Park players for the first point of the game for the Tartans. Stephanie Rivera Pacheco could not elevate that one high up over the net, so the serving continues for Stella Yan, who is just, we mentioned it, 7 assists away. This one hits off the official. They're bouncing down and in play for Point Park.
A big swing from Stephanie Rivera Pacheco.
And making up for the first hit there into the net.
Absolutely. I think that first hit was just a mere miscommunication. I think that does happen quite a bit in volleyball.
She was serving there. We get this one that goes just a bit too far off the hands of Isabella Sierra, freshman out of Leesburg, Virginia. Point Park with their first lead, and the serving continues. To the back line, handled well. Lofted over and up. Pioneers look for a response. From the far corner, just saved. Yan diving to save it before it goes out of bounds. Unfortunately, wasn't returnable.
Great job by Stella Yan to just attempt that strike going down the line. And I think that this Pioneer team is starting to realize maybe they should start sending some of these attacks and some of these shots down the line.
Rivera Pacheco still serving. A blast, and this is going to land on the Point Park side. Point for Elizabeth Schlemmer, the freshman out of Centerville, Ohio.
Elizabeth Schlemmer, I've mentioned, Jared, and for good reason. 60 kills on the season coming into this evening and has 70 points already in her freshman season.
3-2 Point Park lead is evaporated. Ace, no return coming from Point Park this time. We're all tied at 3. And Laura Raychard, the junior, out of Puerto Rico. Continues to serve. Far side, double block is successful for the Tartans.
Yeah, great job by both Schlemmer as well as Rayshard on the far side, able to challenge up at the net, and also great anticipation and timing.
Rayshard sends it up. Back line will handle. It's Rivera Pacheco. Quick tip is sent directly back. The front line looking very strong for Carnegie Mellon here early on. Blast that hits not only off the netting, but also off the front hands from the Pioneers. And this one saved by Rayshard. Sequence continues, pushed over really quick by Catherine Jackson. And a blast hits the line. Point for the Pioneers. We're tied at 4.
Yeah, Julio Folador able to go again down the line, and we already saw one strike go down into that back near corner, so something for this back row defense for this Tartans team to keep an eye on.
Cassandra Tejada, the junior, out of Lancaster, California, serving for the Pioneers. All tied at 4. Front line will throw it over quickly, and there's no return as Madison Simall tried to just get a little bit on it, but didn't have enough English to get it up over the net.
It was good awareness by Simall, noticing that Yan was going to sneak that over, but Yan, being the experienced player that she is.
And an ace for the Tartans. This off the hands of Abby Chen, the sophomore defensive specialist.
A great serve from Abby Chen, and you mentioned it, Jared, bringing her back this year has been very, very pivotal. Last year, 46 aces for Chen as a freshman.
This just saved by the Pioneers on the far side. Return, it hits the antenna. Point to the Tartans. They now have a 7-4 lead. And Chen will continue to serve. Pivotal player last year in her first season with the program. This one behind the back in return. Blast coming, front line from Point Park, tries to keep it alive, but it blasts out of bounds, and it looks like Point Park player Melissa Schroeder shake it up on the play. Official has to go and take a look, make sure she's all right.
It was a big blast from Schlemmer, more towards the middle of the court as opposed to the outside, but Schlemmer showing off the strength as well as the just ferocity that she can bring behind the swing.
Service error this time gives a point to the Pioneers. And they will rotate as Ashlyn Golikowski, the senior setter out of Pittsburgh, recently attended Cal U for transferring here. That is to Point Park, and we get a nice kill this time from the front line. Jane Dean putting in the work.
Jane Dean, again, another experienced player coming back from last season, has 42 kills on the season coming in tonight. And you can tell her and Yan being on the same page.
Schlemmer serving. Backline handles, tipped up and over off the hands of Stella Yan. This one out, point to the Tartans, as the Pioneers could not find any floor space on the other side.
We've seen a lot of action on the Tartans end towards the middle, trying to get Jane Dean involved, but haven't really seen a whole lot of the quick setting towards the middle from the Pioneer end.
And a little bit of a mistake there. Tried to dig it out was Stephanie Rivera Pacheco, but she didn't have any help. This goes to the near sideline and out. 11-5 advantage, Tartans here in the first set. Schlemmer continues to serve. Dug out by Pacheco. Meanwhile, double hit there in front. The front line. Another double block. Putting in some great effort near the net are the Tartans. Dug out once again by Rivera Pacheco. Schlemmer keeps this alive. Near side, tips off of Rivera Pacheco's hands and out of bounds. Point to CMU and Catherine Jackson. Timeout called. Good time to tell you the Carnegie Mellon Athletics would like to thank its corporate partners, BSN Sports, Doubletree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh Downtown, Moe's Southwest Grill, Panera Bread, Penn Station, and Pizza Parma. Check out all of the athletics website for special offerings from our partners, and you can connect with all of Carnegie Mellon athletics teams online. Visit our website. You've already done that if you're watching this broadcast, athletics.cmu.edu. Like us on Facebook at Carnegie Mellon Athletics, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tartan Athletics. Well, pretty active start to this set, Jack. What are your takeaways so far?
Again, I think that for Point Park, what I think they've really struggled with is there's been a little bit of miscommunication at times. And again, they haven't had much play up front towards the middle. Melissa Schroeder has not been set much, and they're just getting beat at the net, especially over from number 18, Jane Dean, on Carnegie Mellon's side. So Carnegie Mellon needs to continue to put that pressure up front. This is a very accurate hitting team in the Pioneers, and that pressure and that defense and just that overall kind of distraction that the Point Park team will have to deal with when you have Jane Dean coming in, bringing up some of that height as well as just disruption. That can continue on for Carnegie Mellon. They should be in good shape. And then for Point Park, again, just clean up a few of the minor miscues and continue to set Rivera Pacheco.
We mentioned we were on assist watch coming into this game. Right now, Stella Yan needed 17 to move into 9th all-time in program history. She has 4. Blast from the far side. Once again, double block in front. Working well for the Tartans this evening. Tipped, dug out well by the back line of the Pioneers. Saved 1 time, 2 time, and sent back over. And this blast will land on the Carnegie Mellon side. A point to the Pioneers. Melissa Schroeder up front.
First time we've really seen Schroeder get set at all this evening, Jared. And again, she's able to convert, picking up a kill and a point for Point Park.
Schroeder, transfer from Otero, Colorado Junior College. Native of Frankfurt, Germany. Blast from the far side. Handled well by Point Park. Dug out on the other end, though. Raychard putting in the effort. Return from the Pioneers, handled well. Abby Chen was there. Big save coming up for Castelli, but they can't return it. And CMU takes a 13-6 lead.
That back row for this Point Park team has really struggled. They're kind of in a little bit of a disadvantage at times, and I think Carnegie Mellon is starting to notice that. Great hustle by Ashley Castelli, who just ultimately could not put it back in play.
Mindy Lai into the game for the first time. She's serving for CMU, a significant contributor last year, and she digs it out on the back end, but a tip over and point for the Pioneers. And that sends the ball into the hands of Ashley Castelli, the senior defensive specialist and libero out of Canonsburg, Cannon McMillan High School product. Very familiar with the Castelli family. My time in Canonsburg as well. Good sequence so far for both teams off of this serve. And a blast will go and work for Raychard, who has been active not only with her serving, but also near the front of the net.
Raychard just overpowering that front row defense by Point Park. Coming into this evening, she has 50 kills on the season, 57 points, and you're starting to see that there's a pretty widespread amount of product on the offensive side for Carnegie Mellon with how many players get involved.
Double block goes too far out of bounds on the far side. Point to the Pioneers.
Great job by Point Park on that time. Hit high into the block. Isabella Sierra ultimately could not control it back in play, goes out of bounds. So great approach, attack, just overall play for the Point Park Pioneers.
Star Lakin, the senior setter out of Titusville, Florida, squaring up here for Point Park. And sends it across. Raychard back over the net. Far side hit and too far off the hands of Stephanie Rivera Pacheco. So Yan, the senior center, back to serve. Dug out by Castelli. A drive saved once again by Raychard. And she has a chance to send it across, but it's too far. Doesn't hit the back line. But they say it deflected off of a Pioneers player on the way out. So the point goes to the Tartans. And they continue the offensive sequence. Chen setting up Raychard. Castelli digs it out of harm's way. Tip back over. CMU's response. A drive and a point on the kill from Elizabeth Schlemmer, the freshman.
Schlemmer again just showing off the velocity that she brings behind her swing, the power and the strength that she has as well. I think that this Carnegie Mellon team is very pleased that she found herself a new home here at CMU.
Quick tip, dug out. Chen and Yan working together. This one will fall. Another point for the Tartans.
Placement in the back row, just a beautiful, beautiful shot. Great accuracy and efficiency from this Carnegie Mellon team early on.
The focus has been there. They have a 10-point lead, 18-8 here in the first set. On this timeout, we'll tell you that Penn Station is a proud partner of Carnegie Mellon Athletics. Enjoy any of their delicious made-to-order subs. All it takes is one bite, and you'll understand why at Penn Station, it's all about good taste. Be sure to stop by the Shadyside location at 4815 Center Avenue. Also, check out DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown for your next conference or hotel stay in Pittsburgh. DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown is a proud corporate partner of Carnegie Mellon Athletics. Tuesday night volleyball action here from the Wiegand Gymnasium. And it's been spirited so far, Jack. Love to see that, especially here early on in the season. Both of these teams, we mentioned it at the top, really off to great starts. And you're seeing some good competitive volleyball back and forth.
And not to mention, Jared, these are two schools that share the same city. So a little battle of the Berg here on a Tuesday night.
Not too far down the road, of course, Point Park in the heart of downtown Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, Carnegie Mellon out in, what do you want to call it, a quadrant of universities in Oakland.
I would say so, yeah.
University of Pittsburgh, CMU.
I call it uptown.
Carlo and Chatham.
Yeah.
All in the same vicinity. Duquesne in between Point Park and this cluster. So plenty of great schools to attend here in the city of Pittsburgh. The pancake dig implemented, but a whistle, and they give the point to Point Park.
Yeah, I think Stella Yan tried to sell that one, but she came up with a big smile. I think she knew that she did not dig that one up on the pancake attempt, but I do love the hustle, and Yan has been all over the place defensively early.
This dugout back line for CMU. The wall was ready for Point Park on that one. Gets them to double digits, 18-10 deficit for the Pioneers, and they'll continue to serve.
I know it's an 8-point deficit for the Pioneers, but if they can just take each and every single one of these points one at a time, they can fight their way back into it.
Rivera Pacheco serving. Blast from the freshman on the far side. Schlemmer, meanwhile, this one's unreturnable off the hands of Rachar, the junior outside hitter, really showing her worth in this first set.
Simon on the far side with a great block, but again, in the back row, just Rivera Pacheco just a little slow to react on the ball sent over. So ultimately, the great defensive play gets wiped away.
Rachard, who's serving right now, already 4 kills. Castelli digging it out on the back line. Sent across, handled by the Tartans. Too far, point to the Pioneers.
This Carnegie Mellon team sitting right now at 5th place in the UAA in errors with 123. Now, last year they finished 3rd in the UAA in errors with 543. So clearly they have started to improve on cleaning up some of those miscues.
Service error on Cassandra Tejada. The junior middle hitter will take a seat. Substitution for Carnegie Mellon as well as Ariana Rosario, the senior middle blocker, into the game. Too far. Service error on the other end.
Good eyes in the back row by Castelli as well as Rivera Pacheco, both noticing that ball going out of play. And that's something, Jared, that I think a lot of players have a tough time reading, just that trajectory off of a serve and where that's going to land. And when you have a really good server, that's where you really have that issue in the back row of is it going to be in play or not.
Juliana McFarland serving. Dug out by Abby Chen. Far side. And this kill is successful. Once more is Elizabeth Schlemmer on the far side. And she'll step back to serve as well.
Schlemmer already with 4 kills on 8 attempts, so hitting 500. Off to a great start for the freshman.
Back line, Rivera Pacheco working with her teammates, just getting that one over the net. Great return. Good double block in front. Schlemmer giving them problems. Dug out, though. McFarland was there. Just saved before going out of bounds by Rachard. Blast from Schlemmer blocked right back to them. Chen, quick tip. It's Catherine Jackson. And this one's going to be almost unreturnable. Raychard to Chen. Does it have enough? No, it doesn't. Good sequence between both programs there. 21-13 advantage CMU. Possession with Ashley Castelli and the Pioneers.
I give a lot of credit to Raychard on that last play, almost going all the way towards the wall and keeping that ball alive and just ultimately coming up just a little short. But I know you mentioned Castelli. She still stays in, but she's not going to serve. Castelli last year had a tremendous year defensively, 5th in the River States Conference in digs with 400 a year ago.
Abby Chen will dig out the initial hit over the net. McFarland working with some teammates to get this one sent back. Quick tip, pancake dig by McFarland, but one too many hits on this side. The double hit called. Point to the Tartans, up 22-13, trying to finish off this first set.
Another sneaky attempt there by Yan. I like that. I think that's something that this Pioneer team needs to continue to be ready for defensively.
Mindy Lai to serve. Castelli there first. Rivera Pacheco sending it very quick. Back line there for the Pioneers to save it. Pacheco, blast, drive, and a point.
And that's why Rivera Pacheco has just been so dominant this entire season. Brings a lot of power behind her swing, and even with an outstretched Abby Chen, who almost came up with it, just couldn't get it there in enough time.
It's a reason that she won the River States Conference Attacker of the Week the last 2 weeks, and you saw it on display right there. We have a service error by the Pioneers, giving another point to the Tartans, up 23-14. Checking back into the game, Isabella Sierra, freshman from Leesburg, Virginia. And the serve from Isabel Shepard, upcoming. To the back line. McFarland sets up a teammate on the near side. Schlemmer able to dive and keep it alive. This one skyward off the hands of Raychard. McFarland to Rivera Pacheco. It's dug out and out of bounds. Point to the Pioneers, but not after a tremendous effort by the Tartans on the other side.
Great last decision there by Castelli to not touch that ball. That ball was going out of bounds the whole way. If she had touched it, I'm sure that probably would have been a mistake that she would have regretted later on in this match.
23-15 advantage CMU. Possession, though, with the Pioneers. As Star Lakin gets things going once more. Quick tip over. It's handled by Stella Yan. Meanwhile, blast from the near side sent to the opposite portion of the court. Raychard off a couple of people's hands for Point Park. And we are looking at a potential set point here. 24-15 advantage CMU. Stella Yan serving. Off the front line, handled by Mindy Lai. Meanwhile, Raychard will find the floor on the other side, and this set's in the books. 25-16. CMU taking set number one. Yan finishing with 9 assists. So my elementary level math is right. She's just 8 away from reaching that 9th spot.
Well, I have to say your elementary math is probably a lot quicker than mine. I'm usually a step too slow on the counting. The talking is fine, the counting not so much. But really going into that first set, Jared, I think that just from the start, Point Park seemed a little flat-footed. They came out a little bit slow. They did not have that kind of spry and that bounce, if you will, that they should have. But you look over at Carnegie Mellon, they jumped all over them early on. And again, Elizabeth Schlemmer just being relentless on the outside. And give a lot of credit also to Stella Yan, who's just been all over the place in terms of where she's been passing the ball, sneaking balls over the net, and then also just a couple big digs from her as well. So ultimately, this Carnegie Mellon team just coming out with a whole lot more energy in the first set than the Pioneers.
Big thanks to SID Mark Fisher, the official box score from set number one here between CMU and Point Park. And just like we have on our screens, Stella Yan, so actually they credit her with 10 assists on the sheet. They must have added it late, so now only 7 away.
They pulled a fast one on you.
They did, they tried.
Yeah, they tried.
You know what? I was smart enough to look.
Exactly.
So 10 assists officially for Stella Yan in the first set. She is 7 away. And you could almost guarantee that she's going to have an opportunity to get to that 9th overall in CMU program history in this next set.
No question. And then on top of that, you're looking at the rest of her stat sheet. I mean, 10 assists as well, 3 digs, so 2 kills out of 4 attacks, hitting 500, really filling up the stat sheet early and just being a very versatile player across the court.
Well, the Tartans have switched sides, and they are ready to go for second set action here from the Wiegand Gymnasium. Glad to have you along on a Tuesday evening for volleyball. CMU wearing the home red uniforms, white numbers, black trim. Point Park in the road black uniforms with gold striping and Vegas gold numerals. 25-15 set number 1 victory for CMU here at home. And we are ready to go for set 2 action. One thing that you really like to see from the Carnegie Mellon Athletics program at large is support for not only your fellow students, but also some of your fellow teammates. And I'm seeing players from the basketball team here watching. Looks like across the way, a couple of members from the basketball team working some of the positions as student workers. So there's a lot of camaraderie, I think, with these athletics programs here at Carnegie Mellon, and that's something special to see.
And I think you definitely get that at the smaller school atmosphere, which is the connectedness.
Double block successful for Point Park right up front to get things going in a 1-0 lead here early on in set 2.
It's the start that they needed. Came out a lot stronger in this second set so far than they did in the first set.
Star Lakin is serving. Quick tip, handled well. It was Olivia Devereaux on the far side. How about this tip down? Almost successful for Ariana Rosario. Instead, Point Park was able to return it. CMU will get the point. There looks like an issue with the netting there.
It looked to be a net violation coming from Point Park, so big opportunity here for Stella Yan.
Dugout, Rivera Pacheco in place. And unfortunately for Cassandra Tejada, she didn't get enough on the tip. Hits the net and comes right back to her.
Tejada seemed to have left the floor a little early, might have mistimed that approach.
Yan continues to serve. Dugout by Castelli. Near side. Julia Follador. Meanwhile, Schlemmer tried to return it. It's blocked back to the Tartans. Castelli there once more to dig it out. And now Mindy Lai getting in on the action as well. This one tipped by Point Park's Rivera Pacheco, and a point for the Tartans coming off the hands of Olivia Devereaux.
Yeah, Devereaux just overpowering the front line of this Pioneers defense. Another good swing, and this Tartans team, I have to say, really loves sending balls down the line.
Stelly there first for the Pioneers. Big drive, and Point Park showing they still want to stay in this set. Once again, Stephanie Rivera Pacheco.
Rivera Pacheco coming off one of her season highs in kills this season against Lock Haven recently. 21 kills for her.
Back line, Mindy Lai. Devereaux. Dugout, Rivera Pacheco. Castelli working with her. Quick tip. Richard keeps it going. Rivera Pacheco. Jolly on the spot to make sure that one continues. Abby Chen and company. This one sent way too hard and far for Point Park to handle. A point for the Tartans. 4-2 advantage.
I know we've talked a lot about Rivera Pacheco's offensive ability, but defensively, she's been all over the place, too. I mean, she has really done a nice job at holding the fort down in the back row for the Pioneers.
You can see why she's one of their best returning players, and she is really taking over at times. Castelli with a mishit. Won't get a return out of this one, and it's 5-2 Tartans. Ace for CMU. And Olivia Devereaux out of Manhattan Beach, California.
Back-to-back serves going to Castelli.
See if they try her once more. Teammate steps in the way, take the pressure off her. That was Madison Seymour. But a big kill. CMU continues the advantage, up 7-2.
Main highlight right here so far that I've noticed, Jared, is how well Carnegie Mellon's hitting. 286 right now.
Castelli there to make this one happen. Tipped over by the Tartans. Good work coming from Ariana Rosario, senior middle blocker out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Able to slip it past the Point Park defenders. Devereaux continues to serve. Too hard for Rivera Pacheco. Out of bounds, point to CMU, and a timeout taken. Probably a good one. CMU really stormed away after this game was back and forth to start the second set.
Yeah, Point Park came out to a really strong start in the second set, and then Carnegie Mellon got back into their rhythm, doing exactly what they did in the first set, carrying that over into the second set. And this time, I think they're doing it off the serves. The serve receive for the Pioneers has been a little bit slower, to say the least. They have struggled at trying to put balls back in play. Castelli with 2 ball handling errors. So something that this Pioneers team is going to have to clean up is that serve receive and just being able to put balls back in play. But for Carnegie Mellon, doing a tremendous job at building this separation on points, Jared, where they're not having to put out any energy. They're not trying to play any defense, nothing like that. All they have to do is a good serve, a good solid serve, and they've been able to do that, conserve some of that energy.
Yeah, it's been looking good. That's for sure. Pizza Parma is the official pizza provider of Carnegie Mellon Athletics and is a favorite for the Tartans, using only quality Italian cheeses, locally grown vegetables, and fresh meats with no preservatives. Pizza Parma, made to order fresh just for you. Visit their Shadyside location or order online to enjoy a Pittsburgh original.
I have to say, Jared, the more that you're reading off this food, the hungrier I'm getting.
Yeah, me too. I haven't had anything since about lunchtime, and could go for some Pizza Parma right now if they're listening.
Or some Panera bread.
Ashley Castelli digging it out. Heard her name all night. Sent to the far side, and a good dig from Rivera Pacheco. It's another name that you've just continued to hear. This one stays in bounds on the far side, and CMU continues their roll up 10-2. As Devereaux and company can't make this one happen. Service error. You knew the luck was going to run out at some point.
Third service error this evening for Carnegie Mellon, but you look over at Point Park, they don't have a single ace, and for Carnegie Mellon, they have 5, so a big, big difference right there.
Back line, keeping it going. Point Park trying to respond. This one off the net, but it's saved by Abby Chen. Big drive, and Chen's there right on the spot to make sure that the sequence continues. Rivera Pacheco, near side. This one tips off of a CMU defender before falling. Point for Madison Simon.
Carnegie Mellon just seemed a little disoriented on that last play. Olivia Devereaux as well as Abby Chen, both little miscommunication between them. Not sure whose ball that was going to be on the third touch, so something that they need to clean up.
Assist watch, Stella Yan up to 13. So she has 3 in the second set. 4 away from becoming the 9th overall all-time assist getter for the Tartans program. Far side was Catherine Jackson. Meanwhile, Rivera Pacheco back to Jackson. Her drive taken by Rivera Pacheco. Quickly flipped over from the front line of the Pioneers. Quick save from Star Lakin, but this one goes out of bounds. They say it hits off the antenna. Point to CMU. Tartans up 11-4 in set number 2.
Rivera Pacheco leading this Point Park team tonight in not only kills, but also digs, has 10 digs.
Abby Chen, who was an All-UAA honorable mention player last year, saw time in every match as well in 2021. Wearing the libero jersey this evening. Big drive, too hard and too far off the hands of Julia Follador. And just like that, it's a 12-4 advantage for the Tartans. And Chen continues to serve. Set up, drive, this point just out of bounds. Man, I thought that was really close. They call it out of bounds. Another point for CMU.
Yeah, it was awfully close. Good swing there in the middle by Schroeder.
And the service error this time gives the point to the Pioneers.
And good eye by Rivera Pacheco in the back row to notice that.
That one, yep. That's good. Ashlyn Golikowski, senior setter, serving. This one hits off of Chen's hands and takes a odd bounce. Point for the Pioneers.
Golikowski putting a little spin on that serve. Chen not able to read it. Good placement, dropping it right in front of her.
Meanwhile, quick tip over. This one successful for Kai Heckenrother. Her first action, at least today.
Give Herkenrother her second kill of the season. Came in tonight with one.
Rivera Pacheco saving this one. The Chen, back to the front, blast, dug out. Good move from Stella Yan to keep that one going, as Castelli will handle. Back to the near side, double block in front, successful for CMU. Heard that all night as well. Herkenrother teaming up with Stella Yan.
Stella Yan saving that point for Carnegie Mellon. If she doesn't keep that ball alive, I don't think that Carnegie Mellon picks up that point. Good job by her.
Rivera Pacheco to the front. This one out of bounds. They say it's touched by CMU along that far sideline.
I think they need to get Schroeder in that slide action a lot more, using her height to her advantage and being able to get her in that kind of mobile action. I mean, Schroeder listed at 6'4". She brings a lot of height and length.
14 assists for Stella Yan as we have another point for the Pioneers. They're trying to pull back in this one in the second set. So Stella Yan just 3 assists away from moving into that 9th spot all time. And a point after mishit there by CMU.
Yeah, Herkenrother, I think, might have mistimed or just misaligned herself on that slide approach.
This one sent right into the face of the front line for the Tartans. Pioneers, another point. Look at this. They're just 5 away from tying this up.
They started to get Melissa Schroeder involved a lot more in the middle, Jared. That's something that this Pioneer team needs to continue to do.
That's Exoner trying to serve. Unsuccessful. Point to CMU. Now up 16-10. Catherine Jackson to serve. Hit off the net. And that, yeah, you can't do that. As she was able to return it to the opposite side, but it was on the wrong side of the antenna when it came back off the hit that she sent up over her head.
Creative, I like that.
Yeah, but the officials were on that as we have a service error that gives a point to the Pioneers. 17-11 as Ashley Castelli sets in. Comes from an athletic family. Her father, Rob, a baseball player at Slippery Rock University. Meanwhile, her brother, Jordan, was a football quarterback at Cannon McMillan and a prominent baseball player as well. He went on to play quarterback at Cal U and Edinburgh in his collegiate time in the PSAC. Substitution for CMU as Rosario heads back into the game. Herkenrother serving. Just kept alive. Rivera Pacheco was there. This one tipped over hard. Dug out. Schlemmer was in position. Too far off the hands of Devereaux. 6-point advantage CMU. Pioneers will serve after a substitution. That brings Julia Follador back out onto the court. And Star Lakin.
On that miss by Devereaux, she seemed to have maybe been anticipating a block coming that way, hit a little high on her contact.
Stella Yan up to 15. It's just 2 away now. Big drive, far side, going over the playing surface and out of bounds in a diagonal motion. As Yan serves. Skied high. Zahner putting in the effort. Frontline Yan setting up a hit from Rosario, but into the net and right back to her.
Yan's pass just a little bit off to Rosario. She had to kind of lean back, go cross body with it, and just wasn't able to get enough angle on it to put it over the net.
Rivera Pacheco to the back line. Yan sets up Devereaux. Meanwhile, another drive. Front line there, successful for CMU after the tip by a Pioneer right along their bench.
With Julia Follador putting her hand out after that shot was blocked. And quite frankly, Jared, I think that if she had just let that go out of bounds, it might have been a Pioneer point.
Bella Woodward into the game for CMU. Up 20-13. Devereaux and Woodward couldn't save it, or it was out of bounds. 6-point advantage, Tartans. The serving happening to our right from Cassandra Tejada upcoming.
Point Park really fighting here in this second set.
They don't want to get swept here. Something that's happened before, but they've also had victories on this court as well. So you can't count the Pioneers out.
Yeah, last time these two teams faced off was back in 2019, and Carnegie Mellon was actually number 10 in the country at that point, and Carnegie Mellon beat them in straight sets. It was actually here at Carnegie Mellon.
Serve from the Pioneers, sent far side. And no return. It doesn't make it over the net. Now just a 4-point game here in set 2. Foot on the line, point goes to CMU.
That's just a mental miscue there by Tejada, something that I'm sure she would love to have back, that play, that serve right there. And I think we can all probably agree we have been there when it's a little mistake that you did not anticipate yourself to do, and that's what you get there from an experienced player like Tejada.
Abby Chen serving. Devereaux digging it out on the back line. Woodward, a drive. Rivera Tejada there. Pacheco. And it's sent too far up over the net, out of bounds, point to CMU. Chen continues to serve. Dugout back line, Pioneers. Set for Woodward. Tipped up. Far side. Yan. Once again, dugout Castelli on the other side. This one tipped to the hands of Chen. Now Yan setting up Devereaux. Point to CMU, and if I'm not mistaken, that should give her an assist, and she has reached it. 17 officially, so Stella Yan now 9th all-time in program history in assists. Congratulations to the senior setter.
Little history on this Tuesday night.
And she continues to put in the hard work, diving there to keep that one alive. Abby Chen working hard as well. Rivera Pacheco setting up a teammate. Devereaux keeps the serve going, and this one falls. Point to CMU.
Herkenrother finally ending that long rally, and great job by both teams. That's something that to also pay attention to, is how these long rallies, these teams come out of it, because obviously you're going to have fatigue.
Chen trying to close off this second set if possible. Blast hits the front line, diving efforts. Shashia keeps it alive. Too far off the official's foot. They say it was in. And the point goes to the Pioneers. It's the second time I think I've seen it hit off the official's foot, and I think it's going to be a point for the team that wasn't on that hit, but ended up being with them. Woodward with a blast. Devereaux keeps it going. Yan setting it up now, front line for Point Park. Woodward tried to keep it alive, couldn't do so. 24-18, Pioneers trying to hold on.
This Point Park team won't back down. They've really done a nice job digging deep in this set, especially in the latter part of the second set.
Gorokowski. And Yan almost falling for the point, but it does out of bounds this time. Set 2 goes to the Tartans.
Yeah, big victory there in set 2 by the Tartans, especially with just the pressure they felt from this Pioneers team. Came out with a little bit more energy in the second set, but then lost that energy. Carnegie Mellon started to pull away, and then ultimately Carnegie Mellon had a couple miscues, a few mental lapses, and then the Point Park was able to capitalize on that. They were able to get back within as low as we saw 4 at one point. It was 20-16. So this Point Park team, although they're down 2-0, Jared, I would not take them lightly from here on out because they can really come back here with still, another set or two to go.
Officially for Stella Yan, 18 assists on the evening so far. That puts her at 15-24 and in 9th place all time in assists in CMU history. So congratulations to the senior Stella Yan for passing a milestone. Next milestone she'd have to reach is 1626. That was Candace Spear back in 2000 to 2003. She did it in just 221 sets.
Big thing I've noticed, especially on the Carnegie Mellon side, Jared, and just going from set 1 to set 2, is just their drop in terms of efficiency hitting-wise. They hit 282 in the first set, and that dropped down to 184 in the second set. So coming in this third set, they need to keep the energy and try and take something from that opening set and apply it here in this third one if they want to walk away with a sweep.
See how it'll play out. A couple of players, including Bella Woodward, who wasn't in the initial starting lineup, going to start this third set. Out there as well with Olivia Devereaux, Catherine Jackson, Kai Herkenrother, Ariana Rosario, and Abby Chen. And they will serve to start this third set. And it is Stella Yan who just broke a record, moving into 9th all-time in school history for assists in her career. Castelli with the return. Chen handles, now to Yan. A push off the hand of Ariana Rosario, unsuccessful.
Yeah, Rosario again just took an awkward angle off that slide and mistimed her approach and mistimed her swing.
Stephanie Rivera Pacheco, Puerto Rico. She's actually a transfer from the University of Puerto Rico. Last year, her first season with the Pioneers. Big drive, but out of bounds. And Point Park takes a 2-0 lead.
Same thing we saw in the second set, Jared. A strong start for the Pioneers. How does Carnegie Mellon respond?
Rivera Pacheco continues. Dug out, Devereaux was there. Woodward on the far side. Sent back to her, hits off her hands. It's 3-0 Pioneers.
A little bit more spring from that front row, especially the middle blockers for the Pioneers, starting to bring a little bit more elevation on their jumps.
Point Park storming out to a 3-0 lead here in the third set. This one unreturnable, and CMU will get on the board. And Devereaux will serve. As Avani Shashia checks back into the game. She saw some significant time in that second set. Up front, Abby Chen digs it out. Stella Yan setting it up for Shashia. Meanwhile, Devereaux on the back line. Couldn't get it high enough for a teammate to get to it. It's 4-1 Point Park.
Point Park's starting to put a lot of pressure, especially offensively, on Carnegie Mellon at the moment. They need to try and capitalize and continue this momentum.
Serve off the hands of Cassandra Tejada. Too far. Service error. CMU cuts the lead in half.
Yeah, that's her second error serving-wise, and those lost points, those miscues, if you will, those cannot start to pile up on you because they can definitely start to spiral out of control and become an issue and ultimately become the separating factor down the stretch.
Isabel Shepard to serve for the Tartans. Rivera Pacheco there. Far side drive and a big blast off the hands of Madison Simon. giving the Pioneers a 5-2 lead early on here in set 3.
Pioneers hitting 100 in this match. The only other 2 matches that they've had this year hitting below 150 were losses for them as well.
Golikowski serving. Woodward pretty much at the scorer's table to keep that sequence going. Far side, double block in front, successful. Woodward there with Kai Herkenrother. And Elizabeth Schlemmer will serve. Down 5-3. Service error. Doubles the lead for Point Park.
Now, this is a big opportunity here for Point Park to try and build off the miscues that the Carnegie Mellon Tartans have put together.
Audrey Shaw checking into the game, and she will serve for Point Park. Junior out of Ridgecrest, California. Run up, serve successful. Chen was there to dig it out. Yan getting in on the action as well. Rivera Pacheco, little off-speed action. Lands right where it needed to.
Yeah, the craftiness by Rivera Pacheco on the outside, very impressive. Has an assortment of approaches and shots.
Point Park continues to serve. Back line, it's Abby Chen and Yan. Sent back over. Herkenrother was there. Chen digs it out along the near sideline. Schlemmer slamming it home.
Yeah, Schlemmer bringing the heat behind that last swing. Threads the needle, picks up a much-needed point for her Tartans.
Down by 3, 7-4. Point Park in the third set.
Schlemmer with 8 kills on 16 attacks, so she's hitting 500 tonight.
Avani Shashia, service error. It leaves it to Ashley Castelli to continue trying to add to the lead for Point Park. Backline handles, pushed over, sort of a punching move, if you will, from Kai Herkenrother, freshman out of Hampton High School, not too far from here. Talbot's very successful soccer program. He actually got to see the boys soccer program in action in a game last week. They were WPIAL and state champions and only had 1 loss last year on the season. Too many hits. Point goes to CMU. Down by 2. And Abby Chen will serve. Rivera Pacheco with a big drive on the far side. Return, though, from the Tartans. And she'll try again, this time off speed, and it catches them sleeping.
Yeah, Rivera Pacheco is throwing a little bit of a changeup after bringing the fastball in the first swing she had.
That's what makes her so dangerous. I mean, really, she could lay it to you on a huge drive, or she'll turn off the momentum, turn off the aggression, and just loft it there for you. Really, you just don't know what to expect as a defender.
Great accuracy from her as well. Had a big shot in the back row that she placed well.
Devereaux, her drive on the near side, successful. CMU still down by 2, 9-7.
CMU trying to close down on this gap that they've found themselves right now. They started to pick up the play a little bit over the last few points, but still trying to make up for that slow start in this third set.
Bella Woodward checking back into the game. Stella Yan serving. She'll leave it for Woodward. Blast from the far side, dug out, successful from Audrey Scholl. And return. Left lofted for Catherine Jackson. Unreturnable, too far. Past the out-of-bounds line, end line.
Love the hustle from Audrey Scholl, goes tumbling near the wall, but Castelli, again, on that far arm that she had, kind of kicked it towards the wall and just needs to bring that momentum more towards the net.
And Stella Yan continues to serve. Blast into the net off the hands of Amanda Contois, sophomore. Unsuccessful. It ties this game 9 apiece. Castelli lofting it into the air. Too far. Once again, Contois couldn't have it controlled. And now CMU with their first lead in set 3.
Yeah, back-to-back errors by Contois. And this Tartans team looking to build on the miscues.
Scholl. Vera Pacheco. Is it returnable? Looks like it. No. 4 hits. Tied at 10.
And even if a defender over on the Tartans is able to dig up a strike from Rivera Pacheco, it's not an easy one to dig up, and it's a matter of controlling it and being able to dictate where it's going to go after that.
Speaking of that, she's serving right now. Devereaux to Yan up front. Big drive is returned and sent backwards off the hands of Catherine Jackson. The Pioneers back in the lead, 11-10.
Point Park battling here right now.
Moisture on the court. See this a lot in basketball. Jack, you're very familiar with that.
Absolutely, many a times having to stop play, and I have to say this is actually, weirdly enough, I mean, that can be something that becomes a factor. It slows down the game, and it also slows down the momentum.
Devereaux with the dig. Has a chance, and she'll get a point on a kill there.
Castelli just playing a little bit too far on her heels. A great drop shot and just lands right in front of her.
Ties this game up at 11. As Shashaya checks back into the game. Castelli on the back line. Drive is tipped initially by the front line of CMU. Woodward, big drive. Does it land in bounds? Yes, it does. Huge kill. Just tucking it into that near side corner for Bella Woodward.
Great placement and just great accuracy. And we've seen that a couple times this evening from a variety of hitters on both sides.
CMU with the 1-point advantage. Too far. Out in front of the CMU bench. Just like that, it's 13-11.
And great job by Stella Yan. Good eyes by her, noticing that ball was going to go out of play. And that really speaks volume to her experience that she has.
Couple of hits from Point Park. One of the only errors you'll see Stella Yan make in a game is this hits awkwardly off her hand and into no man's land over the end line.
Yeah, just a tad bit off balance on that dig, and she kind of was carrying her momentum one way and then pushed the ball the other. So just a simple little minor miscue that can be cleaned up.
Cassandra Tejada, her serve dug out. And a point for CMU after a blast from Avani Shashia. Hits off of a couple of hitters in front and lands for a CMU point, up 14-12. Stella Yan, by the way, now up to 25 assists, so she is well into that 9th place spot. Only needed 17 tonight. Ball is tipped, front line from CMU. Shashia, back-to-back points. A diving effort from Madison Simall.
Shashia having herself a nice little outing this evening. Coming into tonight's match, did not register a kill yet on the year, already has 3.
Check out all of Carnegie Mellon's athletics teams online. You can visit our website. You've already done that. It's athletics.cmu.edu. Like us on Facebook at Carnegie Mellon Athletics. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tartan Athletics. BSN Sports serves as the official apparel and equipment provider to Tartan Athletics while outfitting Carnegie Mellon athletes and coaches in premier Nike product selection. And Penn Station is a proud partner of CMU Athletics. Any of their delicious made-to-order subs, all it takes is one bite and you'll understand why at Penn Station it's all about good taste. Be sure to stop by the Shady Side location at 4815 Center Avenue. So 15-12 advantage here in set 3 for Carnegie Mellon. And you know what's good about this is that CMU has been able to put in a lot of reserve players as well that didn't start this first set initially, and they're still having success. So you know that this team has depth. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it's only going to help them once they reach tournament play here coming up this weekend.
Not to mention, it's also going to give these younger players some good experience at the collegiate level. So when some of these older players go on and graduate, they can move right on in. And that learning curve is so much smaller once you're able to bring in more experienced players.
Back underway here in the third set. 3-point lead for CMU, 15-12. Front line up to the task. Woodward out there with Herkenrother. Meanwhile, the Pioneers will score a point, putting it where nobody was.
Contois there able to go cross court with it, finding it down the line. Again, nice placement, good accuracy.
This is to the hands of Ashlyn Golikowski. Transfer from Cal U. Shashia digs it out. Woodward tries to drive. Net violation. Gives the point to Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah, Melissa Schroeder being whistled for that violation. And another huge opportunity here for this Carnegie Mellon team, continuing to try and carry this momentum that they've been able to build up in the midway part of this third set. Up by 3 right now.
Terrific freshman Elizabeth Schlemmer to serve. Dug out, Rivera Pacheco. Abby Chen to Stella Yan. And this one is sent right back to Kai Herkenrother's face. Tough to play that one after it's coming back at you so quickly.
A tremendous timing there by Schroeder at the middle, and then also just using her 6'4" frame to her advantage, putting up a wall, and Carnegie Mellon not able to fight through it.
Audrey Shaw lining up. Down by 2, 16-14 here in the third set. Service error. Point to CMU. And Avani Shashia. Shaw able to handle it in the back line. Rivera Pacheco scoring the point on the kill. Unreturnable.
She got everything and more on that last strike. A powerful one, bringing a lot of speed.
And Ashley Castelli lines up to serve. Dug out, quickly sent over. Yan tried to pull a fast one on the Pioneers, but they were waiting for it. Devereaux off Castelli's hands and out of play. 18-15, CMU lead.
Castelli again pushing that swing back behind the court. And quite frankly, from our vantage point, it might have gone out of bounds, honestly.
Yeah, you do let that one go, at least from here. It looked like it probably would have been destined to be out, but tough to tell, especially when you're in the heat of the moment. So definitely no knock on any player for going after and attempting to play a ball.
That was great hustle by her. She's been hustling all over the place today.
Big dig from Schlemmer on the far side. Battle at the net. Point Park able to save it. Chen to Yan. Devereaux. Far side, it's Castelli there. Rivera Pacheco and Shaw keeping it alive. Best sequence of the night so far. Castelli can't return it. CMU point.
Castelli all over the floor, but that joust atop the net that went over to Point Park side could have been an opportunity for them to capitalize, but ultimately Carnegie Mellon able to come out on top with the point.
Instead, a 19-15 advantage. A service error off the hands of Abby Chen. Substitutions all around. Star Lakin enters the contest once more, as does Amanda Contoy.
8 service errors tonight for the Tartans, but they have 6 aces. And you look over for Point Park, only 2 aces and 6 service errors.
Lakin to serve. Tip. Point to Point Park. Double hit in front.
I think Ariana Rosario was trying to argue that that ball was tipped back over, but Rosario, I just don't think she put enough mustard behind it.
Yeah, not quite. 2-point deficit for Point Park as they continue to serve. Rosario trying to make up for it there. Tips off her hand and falls. Another point for Stephanie Rivera Pacheco. It's a mouthful.
It is,
And
yeah.
we've said her name a lot tonight.
Absolutely. It's remembering all the names.
Yeah. Schlemmer, good hit. Return from Point Park, but a double hit gives a point to CMU. They're up to 20-18.
This is the point right here where Carnegie Mellon needs to just stomp on the gas pedal and finish out. But if you're Point Park, you need to just take each point separately and one at a time.
And Stella Yan will serve. Error. Keeping it a 1-point contest. Rivera Pacheco waits for the whistle. Couple of bounces off the Wiegand Gymnasium floor. And quickly it's dug out by Catherine Jackson. Woodward a drive, saved by Rivera Pacheco. Another Woodward bounce, too far. Point to the Pioneers. We're tied at 20.
Rivera Pacheco's also doing a tremendous job communicating with her teammates. I've heard her on many occasions saying it's going out or whatever and just letting everyone else know on the court where that ball's going. Great heads-up play by her.
And leaving it for Devereaux. Battle at the net. Point to CMU as it went out of bounds on the Point Park side.
It's the first of pretty much 5 right here, Jared.
That's it. See if Olivia Devereaux can earn another point here off the serve.
Use my elementary school math there.
There you go. It's very critical in this game. Yan. Shashia. Point Park's return tips off of the front line of CMU. We're tied at 21.
You got a battle down the stretch here in this third set. And Point Park not backing down.
It's definitely heating up. There's no doubt about that. As Cassandra Tejada serves in this tied up set. Shashia able to dig it out. Yan keeps it alive. Big drive, tips off of a Point Park hand, and the point will fall for Ariana Rosario.
Great hands by Yan to play that ball off the net and also avoid hitting the net herself. Right. So great body control and just great coordination.
Why she's one of the best players on this team. Isabel Shepard in to serve. Up by 1, 22-21. Rivera Pacheco colliding with a teammate, Madison Simall. And a timeout taken. A 2-point advantage for CMU.
Yeah, if you're Point Park right now, you need to kind of regroup, regather right now, especially off of that miscue. And really, that error on the serve receive for Point Park was just a matter of miscommunication.
Check out the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown for your next conference or hotel stay in Pittsburgh. The DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown is a proud corporate partner of Carnegie Mellon Athletics. CMU's athletic department would also like to thank Moe's Southwest Grill for being a proud corporate partner. Make sure to visit one of Moe's 7 Pittsburgh locations to pick up a burrito from the official provider of Carnegie Mellon Athletics.
I'm going to have to get myself some food after this, Jared.
I am too. I don't
I'm getting
know where
real
I'm
hungry.
go yet, but I'm going to have to get something.
Maybe pizza parma or Panera bread.
To see what's on the way back. So a 2-point lead for CMU. They'd love to finish it off here in 3 sets. Take a look at the series history. Tartan's 3-2 all time against Point Park. Currently on a 2-game win streak. They beat the Pioneers in straight sets in 2019. Jack, as you mentioned, they won 3-1 in 2018. Point Park winning the 2010 and 2008 matchups, and CMU ever meeting between these two schools in 2007. Miscommunication on the Tartan side leads to a point for Point Park, and it's a 1-point game.
Herkenrother as well as Shepard just weren't quite on the same page. Little miscommunication there. Again, something that's early on the season, something that can get worked out. Herkenrother being a freshman, Shepard being a junior, just still working on getting on the same page with everybody.
Golikowski to serve. Critical time now for Point Park. Really both teams. Devereaux to the back line. Rivera Pacheco is there. Big drive, double hit in front. Big block from CMU. Once again off the net. CMU wanted a net violation, nothing called. Woodward keeps it going. Yan. Shashia. Point Park able to return. Dug out. Devereaux. Shashia. Far side. Devereaux was ready. Yan sets it up for Woodward to drive. It's dug. Battle in front. And it lands on the CMU side. We're tied at 23.
Joust atop the net, going over for Schroeder, just using her height and her length to her advantage.
Critical points now, and a timeout taken by the Tartans. Head coach Ann Bach in her 4th season as the head coach for Carnegie Mellon. Came into this game with a career record of 44-24. Spent 8 seasons as an assistant here at CMU before being named the head coach in February of 2019. She had a 22-8 record in her first season and arguably the nation's best conference as well, the UAA, back in 2019. She's a Juniata graduate from back in 1998, where she was a senior captain and played for her dad, Larry Bach, who is the all-time collegiate leader in wins. She had 3 NCAA Division III Final Four appearances and 2 runner-up finishes in 96 and 97. Meanwhile, head coach Bridget Bielik, hired back in 2018, a Bethel Park native, played collegiately at Cal U, and her dad, Jack Bielik, was actually a football player here at Carnegie Mellon in the 70s. And he was an all-conference player with the likes of former head coach Rich Lackner, who is a legend on these campus facilities. So a little connection there for Coach Bielak. All tied at 23 here in the third set. Castelli and company looking for a return. Tic-tac, back and forth. Woodward keeps it alive. Shashia. Rivera Pacheco, far side, drive, blast, point. PPU. Credit Madison Simon on the far side.
A big point there for Point Park to win.
And now they're going to try to take this set if they can. Too far, service error, we're tied at 24.
Handing points back over to each other left and right. Now it's just really the first one to 2.
Does Carnegie Mellon have enough in the tank to finish it here? They'll send it to the hands of Elizabeth Schlemmer, the freshman who's been outstanding so far in this game. Rivera Pacheco tipped Schlemmer. Yan leaves it for Shashia. Along the near side, handled well. Rivera Pacheco able to send it off of Chen's hands. A 25-24 advantage, Point Park.
Chen and Devereaux there, not on the same page, that miscommunication. And honestly, Jared, I think down the stretch of this one, it's going to come down to who's going to communicate better.
Simon will serve, but not before a timeout taken. Giving us time to talk about Pizza Parma. Now they're the official pizza provider of Carnegie Mellon Athletics, and a fan favorite for the Tartans, using only quality Italian cheeses, locally grown vegetables, and fresh meats with no preservatives. Pizza Parma is made to order fresh just for you. Visit their Shadyside location or order online to enjoy a Pittsburgh original. And connect with all CMU athletics teams online. You can visit the website. You've already done that, athletics.cmu.edu. Like us on Facebook at Carnegie Mellon Athletics, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tartan Athletics. Timeout quickly taken. And Point Park would love to try to get a win here in this third set, up 25-24. Chen keeps it going. Yan. Schlemmer will tie it up at 25 on the kill. And the Carnegie Mellon crowd loving every second of that.
Yeah, Golikowski with a costly ball handling error there. Tied up again at 25.
Avani Shashia. To Castelli, this one into the crowd. CMU point up 26-25 on the ace from Shashia.
Pioneers need to buckle down here.
The junior out of Cincinnati, Ohio, trying to finish this one off. She can't. Service error. Back at a tie, 26 apiece.
I like that serve approach that Shashia has, trying to go cross court with it. It worked the first time. Second time, Point Park able to pick up on it.
Ashley Castelli trying to play the hero. Schlemmer digs it out. Yan leaves it for Schlemmer. Castelli. Front line. Big drive and a point. Who else? Rivera Pacheco.
A scorcher. A screamer, whatever you want to call it, but
there's a lot of words to describe that.
That was a swing that was on fire, to say the least.
And now Castelli would like to win the set. Devereaux leaves it for Yan. Devereaux return to Chen. Tip. Yan out of bounds. Point Park gets the point. And the victory. 28-26 in set 3. That was an exciting finish.
That was very down to the wire, and really great job by the Pioneers, just being able to really dig down deep, find some sort of grit, able to buckle down defensively a couple times. They really picked up the communication, especially in the back row, players not running into each other. And then you look over at Carnegie Mellon, and they did have some mental lapses at times, but honestly, Jared, I think that it came down to just a few plays going over for Point Park. And again, Rivera Pacheco, she has been all over the place, and she has clearly been one of the most, if not the most important players for Point Park tonight.
Yeah, she's had her presence known all night, but specifically in that third set when it came down the stretch, it's really showing why she was named a conference attack of the week in the last 2 weeks of this early season.
Yeah, she had a tremendous season a year ago for this Pioneer team. Finished with 171 kills, 200 points, as well as 222 digs. And I've mentioned it throughout the broadcast, just saying that we see all the ability that she has on the offensive side and how she's got such a great swing and a great arm. But defensively, she's just as important to her team as she is offensively.
So the sets have gone Carnegie Mellon's way twice, 25-15, 25-18, and then Point Park in the third set winning 28-26. So we'll see a fourth set, and we'll see if we have to extend it to a fifth set.
Point Park picking up the hitting percentage in the third set, hitting .250 as they came out of the second set, hitting only 26%, Jared. Had 8 kills on 39 attacks, 7 errors on those 39 attacks. So a team that normally is very, very efficient in terms of just their hitting. Right now, ranked 5th in the River States Conference in hitting percentage as a team. Point Park, that is, hitting .215. Last year, they finished the season ranked 4th in the conference in hitting percentage at 170. So something that this team definitely prides themselves on is accuracy and efficiency.
Important to mention, neither of these schools have reached conference play yet. Right now, though, if you want to put Carnegie Mellon somewhere in the UAA rankings with that 5-1 record overall, it's good enough for 4th place behind Wash U, who is a perfect 8-0, Case Western with 7-1, and NYU at 6-1.
And I think these non-conference matches, I think that they kind of get overlooked as the season goes on, because you can look back to those and say, this is an opportunity where we were able to learn and kind of display our ability as a team against other teams that we're not seeing a whole lot. So it's important that these teams finish out their non-conference schedules on a strong note to carry over into conference play, because, Jared, I think you and I can both agree, going into conference play off of a couple losses, that's never the way that you want to start that.
No, I wouldn't. I would agree there. Time for set 4. Carnegie Mellon on the left side of your screen this time. Point Park, big effort in set 3 to come up with the 28-26 victory. All high spirits on both sides, though, and lots of high fives and cheering on both ends.
Especially from this crowd. I got to say, this crowd is bringing a lot of life.
That was good, especially down the stretch there in set 3.
Going back to that crowd, Mike, a beautiful thing.
Good thing we have it up here. Of course, we're perched in the crow's nest, if you will, here at Wiegand Gymnasium, the auxiliary facility for Tartan Athletics. Point Park will start the serve. Star Lakin will get the kill, and the Pioneers on the board first.
That's the way you want to start this fourth set. If you're the Pioneers, just come out continuing that momentum that they are taking out of that third set into this fourth set, and Schlemmer just not able to read that serve well.
Lakin continuing the serving duties. Dugout, battle at the front line, and Yan won't win it this time. Pioneers have the 2-0 lead.
Tejada and Yan with a little joust atop the net. Tejada just using her 5'9" height to her advantage there. Also timed the approach by Yan perfectly.
Early on here in set 4, CMU leads 2-1. Big dig coming from the back line, and Mindy Lai, but another point for Point Park, as the Tartans having some problems right up in front of their net. Down 3-0. Too far, service error on Star Lakin.
Have to see how this Carnegie Mellon team responds after a slow start. They get handed over a point. How do they come back?
Down 3-1. Stella Yan serving. Far side. Rivera Pacheco picking up where she left off. It's 4-1 PPU.
When she gets set a very nice ball and a good pass, her approach and her elevation are just so clean and crisp. And then she's able to just finish through with a powerful, powerful strike.
And she's up to serve now. Dug out, quick throw, almost caught Point Park sleeping. This time too far out of bounds on the return. CMU point.
Rivera Pacheco with a little pancake attempt there. Able to keep the ball alive, but the ball was just not put back in bounds over on Carnegie Mellon's side.
Laura Raychard. Didn't really see her in sets 2 or 3. You saw her significantly in set 1. She's back out here for set 4. Yan leaves it for Schlemmer, right along the line, and it's in. Big kill for the freshman.
Schlemmer up to 10 kills, now still hitting 500. Has 10 digs as well, so give her a double-double on the evening.
And Raychard continues to serve. Down by 1, 4-3. Castelli with the dig. Yan. It's off a couple of Point Park players into the far corner, and Rivera Pacheco able to return. Schlemmer giving Point Park problems in front of the net. But return, Rivera Pacheco there. Chen to Schlemmer. She finds the floor on the opposite side. Point ties it up 4 apiece.
Schlemmer again, able to just wedge that shot right in between 2 defenders in the back row, threading the needle and tying it up at 4 apiece.
Raychard lining up, all tied at 4. Lakin and company able to return it over. Raychard just tried floating it into the middle of the floor for PPU. Far side. It's off a couple of Pioneer players. Their return successful. Yan digs it out. Chen helping her as well. Raychard to Castelli. Lakin, far side. Net violation. Point to the Pioneers.
A big point there for Point Park. And something else I've noticed, Jared, is that these rallies have continued to go even longer and longer as this match has gone on. These players starting to dial in even more.
5-4 Point Park. Yan leaves it for Schlemmer, and she kills once more.
Now up to 11 kills for Schlemmer.
Putting on a clinic. All tied at 5, Abby Chen, sophomore defensive specialist. Serving as the libero in this game. Raychard to Yan in front. Big drive. And out of bounds. So Point Park takes the 6-5 lead.
Sense of urgency for the Pioneers has definitely increased as well. I mean, this is a totally different team from the first 2 sets that we saw them play.
Golikowski dug out. Raychard was there. Schlemmer too far this time. 7-5. Point Park lead. Chen, front line. Schlemmer having issues. Point to the Pioneers. 3-point advantage, 8-5.
Carnegie Mellon starting to really struggle hitting-wise. Now below 200 as a team, hitting 196.
Raychard able to dig it out on the back line. Schlemmer trying to make up for a couple of mistakes there. But Castelli was in position, and they leave it along the far side. 9-5, Pioneers.
Jackson and Chen just on different pages there as Catherine Jackson let that one go past her, because Abby Chen has been doing a tremendous job all evening long, playing the lines well and hovering around the lines well. Noticing that a lot of these shots coming from Point Park are going cross-court down the line, and there Chen and Jackson just not able to communicate whose ball that was.
Timeout taken by Carnegie Mellon. So time to tell you that BSN Sports serves as the official apparel and equipment provider to Tartan Athletics, outfitting CMU athletes in premier Nike product selection. Also, Penn Station, proud partner of Carnegie Mellon Athletics. You can enjoy any of their delicious made-to-order subs. All it takes is one bite. You'll understand why at Penn Station it's all about good taste. Make sure to stop by the Shady Side location at 4815 Center Avenue.
Since you did the Penn Station read, I have to ask, are you a cold sub guy or a warm sub guy?
Oh, I like both.
Depends on what the sub is, maybe?
Probably, yeah. Because if it's like a turkey and cheese, probably would like that cold.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, I don't want a cold like meatball sub or something like that.
this is very true. That would not be
I also
very
like
delicious.
cheesesteak, hot. Oh, it doesn't get much better than that, too. But I'll take both. I'm not picky in that department.
Neither am I, as long as it's slapped in between two pieces of bread.
Yeah. Yan and company working with a 9-5 deficit. Golikowski. And this one falls. Credit the point to Madison Simon, senior outside hitter from Ohio. Extending that lead to 5. And Golikowski will serve. Ace off the hands of Abby Chen.
Starting team right now just out of sorts, Jared. Clearly not able to communicate, and again, a serve that was not well received by Abby Chen. But give a lot of credit to Ashlyn Golikowski. She's done a nice job in a variety of ways, not only passing, but also defensively and also serving.
Olivia Devereaux checking into the game. Yan leaves it for Devereaux. Too far. 12-5. Pioneers lead. Golikowski continues. Chen to Yan in front. Quick tip and the point for the Tartans. Jane Dean.
Jane Dean with the paintbrush stroke there. Couldn't quite get all of it, but got enough of it. And she was really a presence in the first set. I'd love to see if this Tartans team goes to her a little bit more here in the fourth set.
Elizabeth Schlemmer serving. Tipped by the front line of the Tartans. Devereaux sent back to her. Yan and company leaves it. Schlemmer in front. Jane Dean there. Back to Devereaux on the far side. Chen continues the sequence. Just get it over the net. It falls. Point to the Tartans.
Melissa Schroeder over on Point Parkside doing an awesome job, just continuously putting up some sort of barrier defensively for this Tartans team to try and get through, but ultimately Carnegie Mellon's offense able to prevail.
Down by 5, 12-7. Big drive is blocked. Good double block in front. Stella Yan and Jane Dean teaming up. Schlemmer. Serve dug out. Big drive off the hands of Madison Simon.
Now Simon starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm herself, hitting. Was a little quiet earlier in this match, but now starting to find her groove. And this Point Park team can get Simon as well as Rivera Pacheco to be just continuously working on a string like that. It could be trouble for the Tartans defensively.
Back line, Schlemmer going to take it. Devereaux, dug out by Castelli. Kept alive. Right in front, Jane Dean working one-on-one with Schroeder. Meanwhile, big hit and point off the hands of Stephanie Rivera Pacheco.
We've got a hitter like Rivera Pacheco that's just so powerful and strong that brings a lot of force behind her swing. Doesn't matter how tall the defense is on the other side, because that strength is just going to ultimately overpower the height on the other side.
Audrey Scholl with a 14-8 lead will serve. Too far, error. Puts the ball back in Carnegie Mellon's court.
It's the 9th service error for this Point Park team. They've picked up some of the aces, though, as this match has worn on. 4 aces for them.
Mindy Lai to serve. Dug out by Scholl. Far side, back and forth action. 4 hits, point to the Tartans.
Carnegie Mellon trying to grab the driving wheel back from Point Park after Point Park starting to take over.
Service error for Mindy Lai extends the Pioneers lead back to 5. And Ashley Castelli to serve. Big ace for the future teacher.
Great serve there by Castelli, and Chen just mistiming, misjudging that ball coming over her way.
And a 16-10 lead. Jane Dean and company working near the net. Push over off the hands of Laura Raychard. Dug out, Mindy Lai. Quick tip over the net as Stella Yan tried catching the Pioneers sleeping. Raychard to the back. Castelli dug out. Big drive, Rivera Pacheco. Bounced into the air by Chen. And the sequence continues. Right to the front line. Castelli punches it back into the air. Almost sent into the middle where nobody could get it for CMU, but a big kill off the far corner. Laura Raychard.
Great placement there by Raychard on her shot. Able to end that long rally and a much needed rally win there by this Tartans team to see if they can try and build off that momentum.
Isabel Shepard serving. Schlemmer keeps it going. Raychard sends it down, but it's angled into the net on the CMU side. (17-11) Pioneers lead. And Star Lakin.
Lakin last year finished 5th in the River States Conference with 568 assists.
Big drive from Raychard on the far side. She gets another kill.
Raychard starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm herself.
Stella Yan. Dug out, back line. Lakin leaving it for a teammate too far. It's off the hands of Cassandra Tejada. 4-point lead for the Pioneers, 17-13. And Stella Yan. One of the very small errors you'll see from Rivera Pacheco. You haven't seen too many mishits from her tonight. This one into the net.
Only her 4th error this evening out of 33 attempts.
Tries to make up for it on the far side, but it's out of bounds. Oh no, they say it was in. Tipped off of CMU. So she gets the kill and makes it an 18-14 game. And she'll serve. Sending the ball down with plenty of velocity. Chen and company scrambling. Raychard. Return to the back line. Chen. Yan working. Schlemmer coming from the near corner and sending it down for a point.
Schlemmer bringing the hammer there on that last swing as Rivera Pacheco tried to stretch for it. Rivera Pacheco got herself also a double-double tonight. 24 digs, 15 kills for her.
CMU just 3 points away from a tie. Down 18-15. Raychard serving, hits Castelli high. Able to keep it up, and a big point for PPU.
Yeah, Castelli right there, catching everybody at the campfire on the Carnegie Mellon side. This Carnegie Mellon team just seems a step slow here in this 4th set.
Been a lot of volleyball this evening. Sandra Tejada, they may play into why things have sort of slowed on the Tartan side. Big block in front. The combination of Schlemmer and Kai Herkenrother. Take that back, Isabella Sierra. Far side, out of bounds, point to the Tartans, down by 2, 19-17. CMU trying to play comeback in this fourth set. Putting it where nobody was, Melissa Schroeder.
Nice quick set towards the middle for Schroeder. Capitalizes and finishes off the play. And now only 5 more points for this Point Park team, and they can find themselves forcing a 5th set, which I can't believe I'm saying after the start here for this Carnegie Mellon team.
Yeah, it was a fast start in the first 2 sets. But you mentioned it, Jack, the pace is slowed. Rivera Pacheco trying to save it this time, unsuccessful. 2-point game. And Elizabeth Schlemmer will serve. Error, though. Makes it 21-18.
Tried to use the net there to her advantage and try to have it on her side, but just barely couldn't get it over.
Audrey Scholl, tasked with the serve here. Big run up and blast. Raychard in the back. Yan leaving it. A tip for Devereaux up over the net. Point for the Tartans.
Despite this not being the cleanest of sets played by Carnegie Mellon, they're not going down without a fight. Both teams really battling tonight.
Mindy Lai checking back into the game as Devereaux takes a seat. Scholl keeping it going. Big diving attempt from Schlemmer, but nobody was there to help her.
Fantastic effort by Schlemmer, and just nobody there to pick it up on the second touch there, like you said, Jared. But really love the effort by the freshman lunging for that ball.
Timeout taken by Carnegie Mellon. Down 22-19 here in the fourth set. Check out DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown for your next conference or hotel stay in Pittsburgh. The DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown is a proud corporate partner of Carnegie Mellon Athletics, as is Panera Bread, the official partner of CMU Athletics, and it has been named the healthiest fast food restaurant by Health Magazine. Timeout over. Both teams back out onto the floor here at set 4. Pioneers looking to tie this series up if possible. Ashley Castelli will serve. The back line, Schlemmer was there. Yan, quick flip, and it catches Point Park off guard. 2-point game.
Sneaky Stella Yan there with that sneaky set. Deciding not to set her team, but rather placing it down for a point of her own.
Isabel Shepard, the junior middle blocker, to serve. Dugout, Scholl was there. Bank drive, Rivera Pacheco. But it's handled well by CMU, sent to the back line, floated in the air. Point Park with a return, and that will fall. Megan Bologna, the Plum High School product. Coming in, getting a point, and quickly getting back to the bench.
Efficiency, it's the name of the game.
One opportunity, and she takes full advantage of it. Yam is at the front, Chen there. Leaves it for Raychard. Castelli digs it out. Left up, Chen dig, Yan, Schlemmer, far corner, handled well by Point Park, back to Rivera Pacheco, off speeder, falls and hits the floor. It's 24-20, Pioneers.
Yeah, the shot variation that Rivera Pacheco possesses, just being able to decide where she wants to place it and also the speed, it's really throwing this defense for a loop.
Point Park desperately trying to send this to a 5th set. Raychard has it sent back to her. And the Pioneers have done it. We're headed to set 5 after a quick timeout. Well, Jack, didn't think that we'd be seeing a 5th set in this game, but here we are. And you really got to credit the Pioneers pulling out the last 2 sets and taking full advantage of the opportunities they were given.
Backs against the wall, down 2 sets to none. What do, Jared? They come right back. They force a 5th set. Great resiliency from this Pioneers group. But for Carnegie Mellon, they've allowed a lot of these little miscues and errors to pile up on them. And as a result, the Pioneers, they've been able to capitalize and give a lot of credit over to Rivera Pacheco, but also want to highlight how well Ashley Castelli has played in the latter part of this match. Came out a little slow through the first 2 sets, but then in the last 2 sets, she has really picked up the play, especially defensively. And another thing to highlight here, Jared, is the amount of service errors that this Carnegie Mellon team has accumulated throughout this match. It's something to also pay attention to if they can try and minimize those miscues right now with 12. So if they can try and cut that number down a little bit, they have been able to pick up some much-needed points with, like I mentioned, not having to exert any energy defensively with 8 aces. But those 12 errors serving-wise are definitely something to keep an eye on throughout the rest of this 5th set.
Castelli with 17 digs. That's second most on the team behind Stephanie Rivera Pacheco, who has 24. Pioneers seeing 17 kills, leading all scorers from Rivera Pacheco as well. She also has 38 total assists. Or total attacks, excuse me.
Nice full stat line for Rivera Pacheco.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? She is really having herself a night.
Yeah,
here at
leads
CMU.
Leads all players on the court with kills. Right behind her, the freshman sensation for the Tartans, Elizabeth Schlemmer.
Yeah, I'm excited to see her grow in her first season as we get ready for set number 5, the deciding factor on this evening of volleyball from Carnegie Mellon University.
First to 15 here, Jared. Different set of circumstances, don't have as much wiggle room, and the amount of room for error has completely dwindled down now.
Oh, and really it has over the last 2 sets. Carnegie Mellon cannot have the same start that they did in sets 3 and 4, where they found themselves down 3-4-0 before they finally scored.
And really, Point Park has played well to start in 3 of the 4 sets.
Right.
In the second set, they even played well, and Carnegie Mellon was just able to come back.
All on the table here. It's a non-conference matchup between an NCAA school and an NAIA school. Both Pittsburgh teams, very short trip from downtown.
I don't think anyone had to miss class today for this one.
No.
I'm sure that makes a lot of professors very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, athletes as well. You don't want to be stuck in a long road trip.
Not at all. It's never fun.
Stella Yan serving here in set number 5 to get things going. Drive dug out by Mindy Lai. Schlemmer, far side. Bulakowski was able to handle. Rivera Pacheco sending it over. Big blast and a point coming up for the Tartans. Isabella Sierra putting in the hard work in front of the net. And Yan continues to serve. Rivera Pacheco digging it out. Bulakowski, drive, big dive. Mindy Lai keeping it going. Raychard, blast handled by Castelli. Rivera Pacheco and a point for the Tartans. We got a violation, double hit on the Point Park side.
A much better start here in this 5th set for Carnegie Mellon, and now it seems that the Pioneers have come out a little flat-footed.
Yan, third serve of this set. Rivera Pacheco with the dig. Block in front. CMU with great defense. Big sliding grab by Mindy Lai. Keeping the sequence going. Too far, point to the Tartans.
That last approach by Simon just barely went out of bounds. I mean, it was centimeters, if not millimeters, from staying in play.
Very close. Either way, a 3-0 Tartan lead in the 5th set. Far side action. Chen able to dig it out, rolling over the net. The kept alive by the Pioneers. Chen, a little bit of a miss hit, and that's going to lead to a point for Point Park.
One of the few miscues we've seen Chen do on the sideline there. She's really done a nice job playing that line all evening.
Audrey Shaw down 3-1. Set to serve for Point Park. Far side, Rachar blasting it off the hands of Ashlyn Golakowski for the Tartan point.
Richard with a bullet of a swing there. Got everything and more on that last approach. Give a lot of credit to the passing by Stella Yan, as she's just been serving them up on a silver platter for her hitters all night.
Rachard serving. Scholl, the dig at the last second. Block in front. A combination successful for Devereaux and Sierra. And a timeout taken.
And a great timeout here by the Pioneers. I think this is a smart move for them to try and regather themselves, get back down to the basics, also slow down a little bit of the momentum that Carnegie Mellon has been able to build up in the beginning of this fifth set. You never want to have a situation where the momentum's not taken away from that team that has it. So good job by Point Park to call that timeout. Good job by Coach Bridget Bielick.
BSN Sports serving as the official apparel and equipment provider to Tartan Athletics while outfitting Carnegie Mellon athletes and coaches in premier night product selection. Pizza Parma, the official pizza provider of Carnegie Mellon Athletics, and is a favorite for the Tartans, using only quality Italian cheeses. Locally grown vegetables, fresh meats with no preservatives. Pizza Parma, made to order fresh just for you. Visit their Shadyside location or order online to enjoy a Pittsburgh original. 5-1 Tartan lead here in set 5. And Rachard back to serve. Scholl, antenna violation, point to CMU.
A big ace there by the Tartans.
(6-1) Tartan lead. Scholl again, leaving it for Rivera Pacheco. Yan, Schlemmer push, Castelli there. Tip, Chen, Yan, blast, sent right back to the Tartans. Devereaux with the return. Rivera Pacheco finds the hands of Chen. Yan to Schlemmer, putting it where nobody could find it. A kill.
Schlemmer again, just threading the needle, fitting that swing into a very, very, very narrow little room, but give a lot of credit to Olivia Devereaux. Honestly, saving that point for the Tartans and keeping the rally alive.
7-1 lead, CMU. Castelli with the dig out. Tipped off the net, but handled well by CMU. And once again, Schlemmer back-to-back points as she hits it off the front line members for Point Park. And the flip sides.
Carnegie Mellon just in complete control right now. Have regained control of the driver's seat in this one. For Point Park, they can take this opportunity to gather themselves, take a little break, take a breather, get back to the basics, and get back to what they were doing in sets 3 and 4.
Yeah, and really, I mean, this is what you saw in sets 1 and 2 from the Carnegie Mellon offense, as they've really stepped up their game here in set 5 to take that 8-1 advantage.
They've also just minimized the amount of miscues. They're not, and the communication has continued to really pick up. So like you said, Jared, getting back to what they were doing in that first and second set.
Laura Rachard serving. Castelli the dig. Left on the near side and sent way too far off the hands of Megan Bologna. Never mind, though.
Net violation for Carnegie Mellon.
Thanks for catching that. And Castelli will serve. Yan leaves it for Schlemmer. A rocket, but it's too far.
It's another ball that I'm sure Schlemmer would like to have back because she's just millimeters away from keeping it in play.
You need that tennis replay to see if that was actually out or not.
You'd have the challenge card, too.
Yeah. Castelli Service error. Tips off the net and out of bounds on the far side. Abby Chen, sophomore defensive specialist from Fairfax, Virginia, lining up with a 9-3 lead. Make it 10-3 on the ace. No return.
Audrey Scholl in the back row just couldn't quite read that serve from Chen. Great job by Chen to disguise the spin.
Castelli, Scholl, far side, Rivera Pacheco dug out by Yan. Now Chen to Schlemmer, too far. Substitutions. Star Lakin and Ashley Contois head back into the match. And Lakin will serve. Raychard there sets up Yan to Devereaux. Her drive off the hands of Lakin. Another point for the Tartans.
And Lakin's arms just were positioned to go out of play, so as a result, momentum carrying her that way, and instead of forcing it towards the net, great swing there by Devereaux.
Schlemmer serving. Ace off the hands of Castelli. And a timeout taken.
The aces coming in and just droves now for Carnegie Mellon as the Point Park Pioneers are having a tough time on serve receive. Need to, again, buckle down and try and pick up on that first initial touch off the serve.
Carnegie Mellon Athletics Department would like to thank Moe's Southwest Grill for being a proud corporate partner. Make sure you visit one of Moe's 7 Pittsburgh locations to pick up a burrito from the official provider, Carnegie Mellon Athletics, and check out DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown for your next conference or hotel stay here in the city. DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites Pittsburgh downtown, a proud corporate partner of Carnegie Mellon Athletics. 12-4, Tartan lead, just a few points away from capping this one off, barring any catastrophic meltdown. And set 5.
This would be a great match win for Carnegie Mellon to, again, carry with them over into the start of conference play soon.
Schlemmer, service error.
Guess the broadcasting jinx still lives on.
Still has had a great night, though.
Absolutely, yes. It's been one heck of a battle.
Rivera Pacheco serving. Yan leaving it. Big blast in the drive. Jane Dean, the junior middle blocker, putting in the effort in front.
When Dean gets set in that position off that slide, she's really, really effective, and we just saw it there that she's able to capitalize.
Mindy Lai to serve. 13-5 lead. Left in no man's land. It's an ace. And Lai will try to do it one more time here. Ace to get the victory for Mindy Lai. And the Tartans come up victorious 3-2 over the Point Park Pioneers here at home.
Great battle by both teams and a resilient fight by Point Park, down 2-0, able to fight their way back into it, force a 5th set, and then Carnegie Mellon, again, just regaining the wheel, taking over like they did in the first 2 sets, and ultimately able to now move to 6-1 overall and continue their winning streak.
Yeah, very entertaining battle here tonight between Carnegie Mellon and Point Park. And the all-time series now goes to 4-2 all-time in favor of the Tartans, who have had some tremendous performers. Let's go through a couple of names that really stood out. Starting with the freshman, Elizabeth Schlemmer, who had 16 kills, 1 assist, 13 digs on the evening. Stella Yan, of course, we said, eclipsed the 9th overall spot for all-time assists in program history. She only needed 17 coming into the day. She ended her night with 45 and 16 digs, as well as 5 kills.
Yeah, Yan just 6 assists shy of her season high that she had earlier this year of 51, but just a nice, really rounded out, filled stat line for her. 45 assists, 16 digs, 5 kills, and it's the 5th game of the season that she's had 5+ kills and 20+ assists.
Laura Raychard, 9 kills, 3 assists, and 11 digs rather. So she had a pretty good night as well. And Olivia Devereaux standing out on the stat sheet with 10 kills and 8 digs. So those are the top performers from CMU. We look to Point Park, and it has to start with Stephanie Rivera-Pacheco. 17 kills, officially with 2 assists and 26 digs. Really just the leader of that team.
Madison Simall had a nice outing as well. Struggled hitting-wise in terms of her efficiency, hit 119, but 10 kills, able to add a little something there. But outside of that, Jared, again, then the kill numbers go down. The next highest was Melissa Schroeder at 7, and she was very effective in the middle. Would have liked to seen her get set a little bit more towards the middle because she was really using her height and her length to her advantage, but ultimately wasn't able to do so.
Ashley Castelli, 19 digs. She was a catalyst moving defense to offense tonight. And really a valiant effort once again by Point Park to extend this to 5 sets. And they now fall to 6-3 on the year. But definitely not going to hang your head if you're a Pioneer fan tonight.
Not at all. And again, something that they can learn from. And I've always felt that the most that you learn from are losses. So this is a big learning moment right now for Point Park, and they can go off into their conference play and try and build off of this. But for Carnegie Mellon, now they get to go off in a conference play on a very high note, carrying a winning streak with them out of their non-conference schedule. So I think there's some big things on the horizon for this Tartans team.
So we said that Point Park now 6-3 overall. They head into a non-conference matchup with Carlow University right down the street next Tuesday for a match. Meanwhile, Carnegie Mellon, they're in action this weekend. It's the UAA Round Robin #1 tournament at Wash U in St. Louis on Saturday. They'll play Brandeis at noon, Wash U at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Then on Sunday, a noon start time against NYU. Again, all-time Central in that one. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up, Jack?
Just an incredible battle, a resilient fight by Point Park, and really just a nice, fun action to see on a Tuesday night, and not to mention a nice down-to-the-wire finish.
Carnegie Mellon victorious in 5 sets, winning it 25-15, 25-18, 28-26, 25-20, and then they take the final set 15-5. CMU extending their record to 6-1 overall. For Jack Ridenauer, I'm Jared Barton saying thank you for joining us, and we'd like to thank our corporate partners one last time. BSN Sports, DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel and Suites, Pittsburgh downtown, Moe's Southwest Grill, Panera Bread, Penn Station, and Pizza Parma. Check out the Athletics website for any special offerings from our partners. Jack, nice joining you here this evening, and we'll catch you next time here on the Carnegie Mellon Athletics website.